Hi everybody. I get lots of mail and I get some fun mail. And this morning I got up and I was really taken back because somebody knows that I'm always fighting the diet and always fighting the demons of fat and all that. And one of the things that this person wanted to know, it was Charles out of St. Louis, Missouri. And Charles is like, Rosie, I am a big eater and I make no apologies for being a big guy. Okay, former football star, everything else out there. And if you're a big guy, you're a big guy, period. Anybody doesn't like it, they can just fly off with the wind, as he said. But he said, I'm curious, Rosie, because you don't seem like the kind that is really into fine dining and all that. And he said, what is it in your mind? What's the most memorable meal or the most memorable thing that you ever ate? And I really thought, what a terrific question. And I guess we all, if we stop and think about it, we can think about one thing that just totally sticks in our mind, just blows us away when we think about it. And we just know that we can never capture it again because in the case I'm going to tell you, the restaurant is long gone. Or, different chefs come in. It's like getting lightning in a bottle. It's really hard to do it, more than one time and by accident. But when I was growing up, and if you look at the Baltimore videos way back at my return trip to Baltimore last July, one of the things you see is I grew up very poor. You can see my neighborhood, the ghetto where I was born and raised. But one of the realities of it was with not having a lot of money, we went out to dinner once a year. And I don't know, when I was about 10 years old, my mother discovered some place out in going towards Western Maryland in a place called Urbana, Maryland, past Frederick, somewhere around there. It was called the Peter Pan Inn, and it took about an hour to get out there. But the place was friggin' amazing. Maybe it's because we only went out to dinner once a year. There was 8 of us, okay? It was really a tribe. But you would pull up there, and buses would come in on the weekends and stuff. I mean, there'd be 20 or 30 buses of people coming in. And it was run by a family, a German family called the Baumgarten family. And they had another sister restaurant called the Capote Tree. I don't even know if I'm saying that the Capote Tree Inn in Clearwater, Florida. They had that and the one up in Urbana, Maryland. And it was called Peter Pan Restaurant. And it was so off the hook, guys, because you would pull up, you'd park there, you go to the window, and they would have the menu of like, do you want steak, do you want shrimp, do you want chicken, do you want roast beef, do you want country ham, and you'd pick your entree, and everything else was just brought to your table. The only thing that was different was your meat that you wanted to have. So you'd go up and you'd prepay for your meal at the window, and then you'd have a seat. And sometimes you had to wait an hour and an hour and a half because there were literally hundreds and hundreds of people dining there. But it was a really cool grounds. It was like antebellum, like the Deep South. They had a plantation house that was converted into the restaurant, and it was really beautiful. They had peacocks just rolling all over walking all over the grounds. And it was astounding. They had what was called the Mermaid Bar. It was a stag bar, men only. Women weren't allowed, but you could sort of peer in there and see all the guys bellied up to the bar and having their drinks and everything. But when it came time to call your number for dinner, OMG, you would go in there and sit down, and the first thing they'd do is they would bring you a relish tray. It would have cottage cheese, homemade apple butter. It would have 3-bean salad and relishes, and we would just obliterate that. And they'd have homemade rolls that were off the hook. And then the dinner came. Oh, fried chicken, Maryland style and everything. But the real treat, the thing that sticks out, they'd have fried potatoes that were just, little crispy on the outside of them. I'm almost going to go orgasmic talking about this. But they had something called hush puppies. And they weren't the hush puppies with the bits of kernels of corn in them. These were a different kind of hush puppy. They were a deep fried thing, but they were very delicate. And they would sprinkle powdered sugar on top of that. And that would come to the table, and there'd be like 8 of us ready to dive on that thing. And you know, my father would say oldest to the youngest, and of course I was down at the sort of the bottom of the family, right, and that thing would come usually empty, but my sister has a big appetite, right? Wiped out. But those things were amazing, and in my life I can say without reservation that that is the greatest thing I ever ate. Sadly, that restaurant disappeared. It was a victim probably of its own success, because when the family sold the restaurant, a corporation came in and took it over. They converted it into an off-track betting parlor for Maryland horse racing tracks, and pretty soon the quality slipped down and people stopped going there. And I think about 10, 15 years ago they closed their doors. But you know what? They might have taken the restaurant away, but they will never take those memories from me of those meals out there at the Peter Pan restaurant. Having those hush puppies with that powdered sugar on top of them were just absolutely astounding. Hey, that's the greatest thing I ever ate. I'd sure like to hear what yours was, and thanks so much for watching tonight.